All right, I think everybody's found a place to land at, so we'll go ahead and start our meeting. It's our usual order. I will start with an invocation, and then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance and continue on with our meeting. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for all the many blessings that you so generously bestow here upon us. We just ask that you would look favorably upon our city, those that dwell amongst us, and Lord, just help us in the decisions that we make each and every day. We ask these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item is to adopt the business agenda. Everybody's had an opportunity to look over your packet. Is anything that needs to be changed, conflict, or anything?
Mr. Mayor, I request to be recused from 6B due to a conflict.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that, Mr. Davis, to excuse Mr. Steinbach from 6B?
I think we need to get a little bit more context for what the specific conflict is, and then council can make a motion and vote.
Okay, my conflict would be I'm the one that's been nominated to serve on the Canal Commission. I don't feel it's right to vote for myself.
That's fair enough. And if council wants to vote and vote him to recuse himself.
Okay. Do we hear a motion according to Mr. Steinbach's wishes?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the meeting agenda by adding a closed session to discuss a personnel matter as allowed by NCGS Statute 143-318.11A6 under other business and the recusal of Councilman Steinbach from item 6B due to a conflict.
Okay, the motion is by Councilman Strickland.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bryant. Is there any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Another item we need to add a closed session to discuss a personnel matter that needs to be added to the meeting.
We just did that. That was part of it.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah, we got it. I got something else down for. Okay, we got that done. So now we need a motion to approve the agenda.
We just did that too.
Do I need to go outside and come back in again? So where are we at now? Public comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. They got this written down so I can read it, so maybe I'll get it right. The public comment, we had a little bit of, didn't go exactly right at the last meeting, so we decided that when individuals come or we don't know they are coming to speak, that they may not know our policy. So at this time, I would just read this brief paragraph. This is the time that the City Council allows for the opportunity for the public to make comments. Our policy is for speakers to sign up prior to the start of the meeting, but if you have not already signed up, please do so at the clerk's table, which is to my right, so that we can ensure everyone has an opportunity to speak. Unscheduled public comment allows each speaker to speak for 3 minutes. So we do have one individual, Mr. Tanner, that signed up this evening. Mr. Tanner, if you would go to the podium to make your comments, and if you would, just again state your name and where you live. Thank you for coming today.
I'm Dan Tanner. I live on Bowling Road, 1414 Bowling Road. And to start with, I'd like to thank the members of the council for allowing me time to bring my concern. My girlfriend owns a lot on the corner of 10th and Cedar Street. That address would be 1000 Cedar Street, in the name of Catherine Sharon. She is a disabled person. She has quite a few health problems. The city has removed a house that was there. Let's see, let me give back. Her husband went to prison. He passed away. The lot went into her name. And she said she didn't even want it to start with, but it was left for her. There was a house there that he didn't maintain. The city demolished the house and removed the house from the property. Since then, the city's been maintaining by the way of cutting the grass and taking care of the property and stuff like that. Up until a couple of months ago, I stopped that. I do that myself now. There's quite a few, quite a bit of money owed on it, administrative charges from the city, up around, I don't know the exact figure, but I think it's up around $20,000 or somewhere like that over the years that she's been sick. She hasn't been able to maintain the property because she can't work. She hasn't been able to work. She has no source of income. She has only Medicaid is her only benefit she has. She cannot obtain SSI because of that piece of property. The property is worth more money than she's allowed something to have in her name. I don't know all the ramifications of that. And what I wanted to ask was if the city council would approve removing the administration charges against that piece of property, that would leave only the tax owed on the property, which I could handle. And we'd like to sell that piece of property. She says she'd be more than willing to donate it to the city if the city would take the piece of property. We need to get it out of her name so that she can obtain Social Security benefits, SSI. She has no income. I'm taking care of her, and she's living with me because she has nowhere else to go. Her medications are like $4 a piece, and she can't even buy her own medication. So fixing this so that I could get rid of the piece of property would give her a better quality of life. She'd have some income to support herself with. And that piece of property is keeping her from doing that. And if the city council would see way to remove the administrative charges, then I could sell the piece of property to an individual. It's suitable to put a modular home on that side of town, which would certainly be an improvement to that side of town. And it would be bring a better quality of life for her and allow her to get some benefits that she can't get now. So
Okay.
that's pretty much the whole thing in a
I
nutshell.
think you've done a good job of summarizing what we need to hear from you. Your time has expired, but the council thanks you for your comments and coming.
Okay, thank you.
As I told you earlier, we don't have conversation about it at this time. Okay. Thank you for coming. Okay, item 5, approval of the city council minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting as read.
Motion made by Mr. Bell. Second by Mr. Jackson. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those no. Minutes will be approved as they are presented. We got 6 committee appointments. I call on the city clerk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens. The term for Sherry Mills on the Roanoke Rapids Area Planning Board and Board of Adjustment has expired. She is interested in continuing to serve on the board, but she has served the maximum number of 2 consecutive terms allowed by the city policy. City Council has the authority to waive this section of the policy and has done so in the past. City Council took a ballot vote earlier, and Ms. Mills received a unanimous vote. Therefore, I respectfully request City Council consider a motion to waive the city policy and reappoint Sherry Mills to the Roanoke Rapids Area Planning Board and Board of Adjustment.
Okay, do we hear a motion to reappoint Ms. Mills?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to waive the city policy for Sherry Mills and reappoint her to the Roanoke Rapids Area Planning Board of Adjustment.
Okay, motion by Councilman Jackson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Stainback. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion approves. 6B,
Thank you.
Canal Commission.
Rex Stainback's term on the Roanoke Canal Commission has expired. Mr. Stainback is willing to serve another term. A ballot vote was taken earlier, excluding Councilman Stainback, and he received a unanimous vote. Therefore, I respectfully request City Council consider a motion to reappoint Rex Stainback to the Roanoke Canal Commission.
Okay, motion to appoint Mr. Stainback.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Rex Stanback to the Roanoke Canal Commission.
Motion by Mr. Beal,
Second.
second by Mr. Jackson. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those no, motion will be approved. Thank you for continuing to serve.
Thank you.
And then we get to new business, the city manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item of business before you tonight is one of the first steps in a subsequent, process here. Our next meeting will kind of tie the ends here. But due to a long-term vacancy in an SRO position through the Roanoke Rapids Graded School District, we were approached about considering hiring from within in order to help, essentially expand the hiring pool for additional eligible candidates. And through that kind of hybrid approach, we had some conversations with our liability carrier through the League of Municipalities, and so what we are doing here tonight, our meeting with our carrier led us to having to revise the memorandum of agreement or of understanding about the school resource officer arrangement with the city. So that will be at our next meeting on August the 18th. But in order to prepare for the upcoming school year, we need to start advertising for positions. And those positions, the funding for them is expected to be tied to the agreement with the school district for the city to be reimbursed for those services. And so one of the first things we need to do is advertise positions. And so to do that, we have proposed and provided for you a revised FY27 salary schedule, adding two different descriptions. One is more of a supervisory role and the other one being just a regular role. These positions have been placed in a recommended grade and salary range that seems to be appropriate with the police department and other area agencies. And so tonight we're asking council to approve the new salary schedule with the understanding that these positions won't be filled, or at least employment won't begin until we have an agreement for reimbursement with the with the school district. So subject to any questions you may have, we request your approval of the revised salary schedule that's been prepared before you. And just to note that the city's personnel policy under Article 2 of Section 6 provides a process for adding new positions. It states that the city manager is to recommend positions in the grade and pay, and council is set to approve that. So again, the action tonight requested is in accordance with city policy, and I'd be glad to try to answer any questions you may have.
So these are full-time positions, right? Because I was thinking at one time we were dealing with a situation just part-time or out at Belmont Crossing.
And well, there's the SROs and there's the crossing guards, which is a separate. But at Challoner Middle School, for the majority of the last school year, there was a vacancy, and so our officers were filling in like off-duty assignments at Challoner. And so that position being vacant for so long led to the school saying, well, can you all hire, there could be some eligible applicants out there, but if we could make it where the city could hire folks, it would help with certain eligibility requirements or certain constraints maybe that some others may have with the retirement system. And so, again, the SRO agreement is being worked out and drafted between, with the school district, but, these are intended to be full-time jobs with employment by the city.
This is kind of the first step in a series of steps that we anticipate taking here through the month of August. And the goal is just with the crossing guard situation is to have a more permanent solution to the making sure that the the students, the staff, the teachers, everybody out at the school system continue to feel safe and to continue to be protected. Everybody I've talked with about this, whether it's on the city side or on the school side, obviously that's a big priority for everyone. And so this is the first step, but it's not the last that council will hear about it, even within the span of this month. So
they'll be part of our regular police force, is that right? Or?
that would be the anticipated solution with respect to these positions. What we anticipate right now would be kind of a transition from the current system as it exists now, which has vacancies, to a more permanent solution that's ultimately staffed by our officers, by city officers.
Any question? I just have one question. It's not anything new, but I don't think I've ever asked a question. First of all, where do these numbers on the minimum and the maximum, does our personnel come up with that minimum and maximum? And my second question would be, why is there such a tremendous difference in the minimum and the maximum for the same job? And I know somebody comes in with some experience, you would pay them more than somebody that had never had a job in that position or something. But it's just such a, from $30,000 to almost $50,000 on one position. It's just a great amount of difference in the amount of salary for two people doing the same job. Is that?
The salary ranges, we had a professional study done maybe 2 years ago, I think, and our human resources director could probably chime in here. But those ranges are established as minimums and maximums, and it just depends on someone's tenure or the path they travel. But I'll allow Ms. Cottle to answer that.
So the salary schedule, minimum and maximum, and then I don't think it's included. Hold on. It wasn't included, but there is an additional page that you look at and approve as part of the budget that shows the minimum, a midpoint, and a maximum. So when MAPS groups came in 2 years ago, they pretty much pushed the reset button on this salary schedule. They recommended the grade assignments for every position and what the minimum, midpoint, and maximum would be. Typically, someone that starts in our organization and then grows with us for, say, a 30-year career may start in a lower grade, but they are anticipated that they're going to grow with promotions. So they're never really going to hit more than like the midpoint in their current role. They would move to the next position, typically towards the minimum, and then they would keep growing until they had another promotion. It doesn't work all the time. Like, for example, I have been 2 department head roles, so they've been in similar grade assignments. I don't expect to ever eclipse, likely, the midpoint of my current position. However, if I had started at 25 years old in that role and stayed there for 30 years, I would likely continue to grow based on my performance, cost of living adjustments, and I could get towards the top of that grade. Once you hit the maximum, there is another part of our personnel policy that explains what happens. So if you're at the maximum of your current grade and you're not shifting to a higher grade, you cannot get like performance-based percentage increases. You could get a bonus instead, so you always stay beneath that minimum. Each year, cost of living adjustments that you approve get applied to the salary schedule. That's just a HR best practice. So this past year, we approved a 3% cost of living adjustment. So every minimum and therefore the maximum all shifted up 3%. But the range itself was set by the MAPS group a couple years ago. And the ranges are intended to be a pretty wide set range, so there is room for growth if somebody came in and served in a particular role for 30-plus years. The likelihood of that, though, is pretty low. That typically does not happen. I hope that answered your question.
So nobody would ever start off at the maximum?
No. If we were offering them the maximum, then something's wrong with the grade assignment. And that's what we were seeing, is that the salaries of our workforce had changed so dramatically that we needed to reset this program as a whole. And so after a couple of years of trying to piecemeal it ourselves, at the recommendation of council, we did hire that third party to really kind of look at it as a holistic approach to change. And so that's where we ended up with this new salary schedule. And so far with recruitment, it has helped, and we've been able to offer closer to the minimums of what that position assignment is versus the maximum.
And forgive me for interjecting here, the HR director said something that was very important that I want to make sure that folks didn't miss, is I think it was last meeting where we talked about how much better our employee retention was. That's a big part of it, is we've standardized this system, and we've made it so that we keep employees rather than having folks leave and having to bring in new folks to the organization. That's one piece of that puzzle in ensuring that we don't have a revolving door of employees, and that we keep the folks that we've invested the time and energy in training for their positions. I'll say too, I know that for folks that are used to maybe more used to the private kind of context, especially not working in larger companies, a salary schedule may be somewhat unusual. It's very important for a public employer like the City of Roanoke Rapids with the size of our workforce, because of course as a public employer we are required, there's a lot more obligations on us to be fair and equitable in how we pay individuals in similarly situated positions and coming from similarly situated backgrounds and work experience and all that, and the salary schedule helps you get to that. And like I say, in much of private employment, that is either not a concern or very little of a concern. For public employment, it is very important. And so that's part of the reason why this is such an important piece, and why it was another reason why it was such a very good thing for the city that a couple of years ago we went through that MAP study and we standardized this process rather than, as Ms. Caudle said, the piecemeal approach that we had previously. So.
And I would like to add too that these ranges are consistent with other communities of similar size and employment, and so if someone is looking at relocating, they would see, oh, okay, it's similar to what I'm seeing other places, and so we're not off the mark.
And does I would assume you have a committee that when a new employee comes in, sets the salary? Is it the city manager, the HR, or finance? How does the salary come about?
So when we are in the recruitment process and we have selected the top candidate, the department head will recommend the salary. It comes to me, I check it against our salary schedule. I also look at other current employees in the same role. And then I say, yes, I think that's fair, or no, I don't, and we have more conversation. There are times where that gets kicked up to the city manager, and then ultimately, once there is an offer for hire and we're in the process of actually onboarding the employee, there is an approval process to the salary. That's a final piece. So that final piece would include me entering that information, and then it goes to our finance director for an approval, and then our city manager for an approval before it becomes active and officially approved. So there's several versions of checks and balances to get to the end result of whatever that person may make.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, we need a motion on approval of the new salary schedule.
Okay, we need a motion to approve that salary schedule.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised 2027 salary schedule to include the police SRO position in the recommended grade and range.
Okay, the motion is by Mr. Jackson and second by Mr. Steinbach. Any more discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion will be approved. Thank you. City manager's report.
Good evening again. Just to round up a few activities. Last night, National Night Out was held, and that's why we have our meeting tonight on Wednesday. And just want to thank all the participants and sponsors that were there. I think it was a good turnout despite the rain. But it's a great event, and it seemed to be enjoyed by all, and we thank everyone for their time and attendance there. The police department has a community meeting scheduled on the evening of August the 31st at Challoner Rec Center. Come out, it's open to all, listen, hear about the statistics, engage in conversation with the leadership of our police department, and learn more about their initiatives. And then part of the police club, they do fundraising throughout the year for Christmas for Kids, and one of their big fundraisers is a cornhole tournament that's coming up September the 19th. And last week, I want to congratulate two of our sponsored cadets that graduated from BLET, and they are getting ready to enter our training program. And the vacancies in the police department are down to single digits at this point, so it's a success there. In the Parks and Recreation Department, our outdoor pool will close for the summer season at 5 o'clock on August the 8th. We employ many college-bound students, and so most are getting ready to head back to their colleges and universities in August, and so that's why the pool is closing earlier in the month rather than later. And it's typically we close around this time of year. And adult swimming lessons are going to be offered soon on Mondays and Wednesdays. Registration is open for the Roanoke Canal 5K and walk that will be held on Saturday, September the 19th, and you can register at roanokecanal.com. This summer we're coming to a close with several summer camps, and we've had up to 258 kids registered throughout the summer, which is probably more than 100 more than last year, and we contribute that success to the implementation of Rec Desk, which allows participants or the guardians of those participants to register online. And so if you're like many working parents, you realize there's a camp the next day and you haven't signed up, or in the past it was too late, but now you can a lot of times register online and be able to bring your kid the next day, and everything's taken care of. So fall sports are underway as well. Youth football, tackle football started at Doyle Field. There's a lot of interest in a youth volleyball league, and then also in youth adapted sports that's gaining interest, and staff are working to help establish a program there. Just again, to continue to encourage folks to use rrparksandrec.recdesk.com to register for programs. I'm currently accepting registrations for fall league baseball and soccer. The Senior Center has several events coming up, especially with some technology trainings, but grief support with Nancy Hux will be on August the 7th and the 20th. And then there's some other training sessions in Canva, AI, and Intro to Social Media happening August 11th, August 18th, and the 25th from 11 to 1. And then their last happy hour of the season will be on August the 19th, and the Senior Center will be coordinating Medicare appointments on August the 17th. Out at Public Works, both backhoes have been out of service. We're having to rent one right now that's pretty costly. We know that replacement will be costly as well, so it's impacting some services that occur daily here. Hauling stockpiled leaves out of the storage site to local farmers and landowners to make room for the fall collection season, and then advertising for an equipment mechanic position due to a retirement a few months ago. Planning development's been active with a few development projects. 7-Eleven is gaining attention with their very high gas prices being advertised right now, but I think that's precluding people from trying to come in until they're officially open. But there's just a few minor issues, but the final inspection has been completed there. Hangry Joe's Hot Chicken is intending to locate at 306 Premier Boulevard, and their plans are under review by the department. Many people notice the craters or big potholes in we call the Big Lots Shopping Center. That violation has been addressed with the representative owner or the management company to fix. They hear from us quite often. One thing I want to do too is really recognize our planning, police, public works, and fire. They've joined together under maybe not without, but Kristen Anderson, our planning director, has recruited everyone together to really focus on the we're calling it a compliance task force, and so they're focusing on these high priority code enforcement or code compliance needs, because not all issues are one department. Oftentimes there's various departments involved, and we have found that our success is usually better when everyone gets together and approaches these. So there's a list of some of their first target areas, and these things do take time, but there are efforts underway by our staff for correction. And so I just want to give you an update on that. And then also, the complaints come in and we're following the processes. One other thing I want to add too is that today there was some code enforcement action down at the People's Theater area, police, fire, public works, planning. It's been identified. It's kind of sometimes when you move people out of one place, they have to go somewhere else. And so I kind of look at this as like we're transferring folks, we're kicking them out of one place, they go to the next, kick them out of one, they go to the next. And so the life safety is a concern in many of these places, but we're doing the best we can in maintaining those efforts, and I appreciate that support. Subject to any questions you may have, that concludes my report for this evening.
I appreciate the compliance task force. I see some addresses on here that I've been called on about. Some of them I've been visited at my house about, and so I'm very glad to see Public Works and the police and code enforcement stepping up on this. And I've visited most of these addresses, and they definitely need attention, as well as Big Lots parking lot. So thank you all for that. Item 9 is a motion to go into a closed session to discuss a personnel matter. Someone could state the motion, and I think you need to use the statute too. Is that correct?
Mayor,
Okay, Ms. Bryant.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss a personnel matter as allowed by NCGS 143-318.11A6.
Okay, a motion by Ms. Bryant, second by Mr. Stainback. Is there any more discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We'll be in closed session, so we'll take a brief recess break, and then we'll come back and go into closed session.